Boom. How did Blur form? I don't know. So Blur formed in a very quite an organic way, really. It was a series of random meetings. Graham and I grew up in Colchester and played in various bands together. So we'd known each other for a long time. Graham and Damon, the singer, went to school together, and so knew each other from that way. And Graham and Alex, the bass player, went to university together, dropped out of university together, so they knew each other that way. So, I don't know, I guess we were probably destined. Graham was like the hub of the wheel, really, brought us all together in a way. The contrast between our actual financial lives and the kind of outward appearance was dramatic, really. We were living on about £20 a week on housing benefit, and yet we were flying around the world first class. We used to call ourselves the poverty jet set because we would, we'd be out when we were working. We'd be travelling in style and eating in the finest restaurants. When we got home, we wouldn't have enough money to get tea bags to make a cup of tea. And it was bizarre. It was a really weird contrast, and it was like that for years. Our first manager stole all our money in the classic rock and roll tradition. He didn't pay a single bill from the first record, and basically kept all the money, looted the bank accounts, put everything in his wife's name. So we were nearly bankrupt by the end of the first album. We came away with a couple of years' work with absolutely nothing to show for it. I was quite financially naive, I have to say, and sounds embarrassing now, but he'd come into wherever we were, rehearsal rooms or the gig or whatever we were doing every Friday with a checkbook, and he got us to sign some blank cheques to pay the bills with. I mean, it sounds preposterous, but we were young. I mean, I can't believe I fell for it. But anyway, when the lawyers started unpicking what he'd done, all these checks, we got all the checks back from the bank, and a whole bunch of them had my signature on the bottom. He'd used my signature to steal my money, and I resolved then that I was never going to let that happen again. The three absolutely essential ingredients for being successful in the music industry, in order, are: you have to look good, you have to sound good, and you have to have something to say. The only realistic way of turning an idea into reality is getting other people involved. But that's a very hard thing to do, especially when all you've got is an idea. So the general way I go about doing things is to start. So pull your bloody socks up. Get yourself together. What's wrong with you? Are you mad? I'd say I have probably, over the years, I've got about a 1 in 3 record of things that I've started against things that have actually gone on to be successful in some way. It's a terrible trap to get into, and the reality is failing ain't that bad, because it's the trying that's fun. That when you start a band, for example, the hours you spend with each other in the pub, going what if, and crying over how much you want it, and the agonising and the pining for success, that's so much more exciting than the success when you get it. It's just really bloody hard work. So obviously it has its compensations, but the journey is actually far more interesting than the arriving. I surround myself with clever people. There's nothing more stimulating than being surrounded by smart people. It forces you to try and pull yourself up to their level.